Let's talk about what it really means when God hides you, because this is the part that most people misinterpret as punishment or rejection. It's human nature to measure our worth by activity, visibility, or recognition. If things are moving, we feel valuable. If they slow down, we feel forgotten. But the truth is, the seasons where nothing seems to be happening on the outside are often the most transformative moments of your life. Think about a seed. The moment you bury it, it disappears from view. There's no applause for that stage. No one posts about the months a seed spends under the soil. Yet, that is where the root system is developing, where the potential is protected, and where the life source is secured. If you were to dig it up too soon just to see what's happening, you would destroy the very thing you are waiting for. In the same way, when God hides you, He is protecting your potential. He is refining your character in silence, because what He intends to build in you is bigger than what can be seen right now. And here's the part most people resist. Growth is rarely glamorous in its early stages. It is often uncomfortable, unnoticed, and misunderstood. We are living in a world that worships exposure, where everything is broadcasted, posted, and measured. But divine purpose doesn't operate on that timeline. It operates on alignment, on readiness, and on weight. If your life is being prepared to carry something significant, whether it's a calling, a relationship, an opportunity, or an influence, you cannot skip the hidden seasons without paying a price later. This period of obscurity is where you develop the kind of strength that public success cannot give you. It's where you learn the discipline of patience, the endurance of faith, and the wisdom of restraint. Because here's the paradox: the quieter the season feels, the more sacred the work being done. Your roots are growing deeper, so that when the winds of exposure come, you do not topple over at the first sign of pressure. Many people pray for elevation, but are not willing to endure the burial that comes before it. They want the platform without the preparation, the blessing without the breaking. But if you are in a hidden season, you are not being overlooked. You are being preserved. Psychologically, this stage is one of the most challenging because it confronts the ego. It strips you of the constant feedback loops that the world trains you to depend on. Likes, applause, opportunities, attention. And it forces you to anchor your identity somewhere deeper. You begin to ask yourself, who am I when no one is watching? What do I believe about my worth when nothing external is affirming it? That is where real maturity is born. It is in this silence that you develop the kind of authenticity that cannot be faked when the lights eventually turn on. Philosophically, it also teaches us the law of gestation, that every meaningful thing in life has its appointed time. You cannot rush fruit to ripen by staring at it. You cannot force a tree to grow by shouting at the soil. Life moves at the pace of purpose, not impatience. And when God hides you, He is inviting you to trust that the unseen is not inactive, that hiddenness is not absence, and that delay is not denial. So, if you find yourself in that place where it feels like nothing is happening, like doors are closed, like your prayers have gone unanswered, I want you to remember this. Hidden seasons are not wasted seasons. They are sacred preparation. They are the soil where your future is taking root. And when the time is right, what you thought was a delay will reveal itself as divine strategy. Hold that thought the next time you feel buried. because you are not buried to die. You are buried to grow. There is something profoundly unsettling about silence, isn't there? We live in a world that constantly urges us to stay connected, to be seen, to be heard, to make noise so that no one forgets we exist. And yet, one of the most common ways God works in our lives is by pulling us into a season where the noise stops. The phone stops ringing as much. The recognition dries up. The audience disappears. It's in that quietness that the real work begins, because silence is not an absence of activity. It is the presence of depth. When God hides you, He often takes you away from the constant hum of external validation. And that's not an act of neglect. It's an act of love. Because if your sense of identity is too dependent on applause, approval, or activity, then what happens when all of that is stripped away? Silence is where you learn that your worth is not tied to a title, a platform, or a stream of opportunities. It forces you to build a foundation that does not crumble when no one is clapping for you. Psychologically, silence is a mirror. It reflects back the inner restlessness you've been avoiding. Without the usual noise to drown it out, you start to hear the deeper questions. Who am I really? What do I truly believe about myself when the world is not watching? These questions are uncomfortable because they demand honesty. They demand that you face the insecurities you've been covering with constant motion. But that is where growth happens. Emotional maturity is born not in moments of applause, but in the moments when no one is watching and you still choose to keep going, to keep believing, to keep building. There is also a discipline in learning to stay in that silence without trying to escape it too quickly. Many people misinterpret the quiet as punishment. So they start forcing doors open, chasing noise, manufacturing moments to feel relevant again. But that only delays the very work that the silence was meant to accomplish. This hidden season teaches you restraint. Not every opportunity deserves your energy. Not every invitation deserves your yes. Not every platform is meant for you yet. Silence becomes your filter, teaching you to hear the difference between what is loud and what is true. Philosophically, this is where the concept of interiority comes into play. Our modern culture is obsessed with the exterior, what is seen, measured, and celebrated. But the soul grows in the interior world, in that unseen space where motives are refined, where faith is stretched, where your voice learns to find its own resonance rather than echoing the expectations of others. And here is the paradox: the quieter you become in this hidden season, the stronger your voice becomes for when the moment of visibility returns. Because now it carries weight. Now it carries truth. This process also protects you from becoming a prisoner of external noise in the future. If you can learn how to thrive in silence, how to create, how to love, how to hope, even when no one is applauding, you become unshakable when the applause does come. You won't chase it, you'll steward it. You won't need it to survive. You'll use it to serve. So if you're in that silent season right now, don't despise it. Lean into it. Let it stretch you. Let it teach you what you really believe about yourself. Let it deepen your roots so that when the noise does return, and it will, you won't be carried away by it. You'll be grounded. Because here's the truth: silence is not the absence of God's work. It is often the clearest sign of it. And the person you become in that silence will be far more powerful than the person who once lived only for the sound of applause. One of the hardest things to accept in life is that not every open door is meant to be walked through. We tend to think that opportunity is always a sign of timing, that just because something becomes available, it must be right. But what if the very thing you are praying for, a platform, a relationship, a promotion, a partnership, comes too soon? Would you be ready for the weight it carries? Or would it crush you under the pressure you're not yet built to handle? This is why one of the most protective acts of love from God is to hide you not just from harm, but from premature exposure. Think about this for a moment. A fruit picked too early is not just unready. It can spoil before it even reaches its full sweetness. The same is true with destiny. Premature exposure can distort your calling, attract the wrong alliances, or even awaken the wrong enemies before you've developed the resilience to withstand them. Many times, what you call delay is actually divine protection. God sees the weight of influence, the intensity of scrutiny, and the complexity of responsibility that comes with the thing you're asking for. And he knows that without the depth of preparation, the very blessing you desire could turn into a burden that breaks you. Psychologically, this makes sense when you consider how human beings respond to sudden visibility. We are wired to crave significance, but without a stable sense of self. Visibility often magnifies insecurity rather than healing it. Exposure is a magnifier. It amplifies both your strengths and your weaknesses. If the inner scaffolding is not strong enough, the outer structure will not hold. We have seen this play out in countless lives. Talent placed on display before character was formed, and the collapse that followed was not because they lacked opportunity, but because they lacked readiness. Philosophically, there is a law of becoming that cannot be bypassed. Time and pressure are not enemies, they are sculptors. When God withholds visibility, he is not withholding destiny. He is forming capacity. He is saying, I will not allow you to be seen until what is seen will not sabotage what is unseen. That is not punishment. That is mercy. There are seasons when obscurity is the most divine form of promotion because it is protecting the version of you that is still emerging. This is why discernment becomes essential. Not every invitation deserves a yes. Not every opportunity is your opportunity. Some are tests, some are traps, and some are simply not yet aligned with the timing that ensures your thriving, not just your arrival. The waiting is uncomfortable because it confronts your desire for control. It asks you to surrender your timeline to a process you cannot always explain, but can only trust. And this trust is what builds a foundation strong enough to handle the weight of future visibility. So, if you are in a season where doors seem to close as quickly as they open, where opportunities appear but do not last, where things almost happen but never quite align, don't be so quick to call it failure. It might just be God saying, not yet, because I am not only preparing the place for you, I am preparing you for the place. That difference matters. One gets you in the room. The other keeps you there. When you finally do step into that moment, into the relationship that lasts, the opportunity that multiplies, the calling that carries weight, you will find that the waiting was never wasted. It built muscles you didn't know you needed. It gave you clarity about what truly matters. It taught you to say no to what was shiny so you could say yes to what was sacred. Because here is the truth. Divine timing is rarely about delay. It is about protection. And sometimes the greatest breakthrough you will ever experience is realizing that what didn't happen when you wanted it to was the very thing that saved you for when you were ready. Sometimes the most loving thing God can do for you is to say, not yet. We tend to interpret delay as denial, but often it is protection in disguise. There are moments in life where what you are asking for is not wrong. It may even be part of your purpose. But the timing would make it dangerous. Visibility, opportunity, relationships, platforms, these things carry weight, and weight requires structure. If the foundation isn't strong enough, the very thing you prayed for can become the thing that undoes you. This is what makes premature exposure so destructive. It's not that the door is bad. It's that the door is too early. Just as a tree cannot bear the weight of fruit before its branches mature, you cannot carry certain assignments or opportunities before your roots have deepened. Exposure attracts attention. Sometimes the right kind, but often the wrong kind too. It exposes you to pressures, expectations, and spiritual battles that preparation was meant to shield you from. Think about that, what you call delay. Heaven may call protection. Psychologically, we often confuse readiness with desire. We think, because I want it, I must be ready for it. But readiness is not about longing, it's about capacity. Many people get the very thing they asked for only to realize they are not emotionally, mentally, or spiritually equipped to sustain it. Success amplifies both strengths and weaknesses. The spotlight does not create character, it reveals it. And when the inner life is underdeveloped, sudden visibility can magnify insecurity, inflate pride, or leave you vulnerable to manipulation. Philosophically, this principle reflects an ancient truth. Timing is a form of wisdom. Everything meaningful in life carries a season of becoming, and trying to bypass that process leads to fragility. Imagine placing a fragile sculpture in a public gallery before the clay has hardened. The attention may come, but the structure will collapse under the slightest pressure. God does not delight in watching your potential break under the weight of premature exposure. Instead, He keeps you hidden long enough for your essence to become strong enough. This hiding is not about punishment. It is about alignment. Sometimes He is not only preparing you for the place, He is preparing the place for you. The relationship you desire may not yet be in its healthiest form. The platform may not yet have the people you are meant to serve. The opportunity may not yet be free of the compromises that would have trapped you. Divine timing considers both sides of the equation. And here's where the struggle comes in. We live in a culture that tells us any closed door is a failure. That waiting is a sign of stagnation. But in reality, waiting is one of the most active, formative seasons of your life when you lean into it. It is where you learn discernment, what to say yes to, what to walk away from, what to postpone. It teaches you the wisdom of restraint, the courage of patience, and the humility of process. So, if you find yourself in that frustrating space where opportunities almost open but never quite align, where it feels like you're always just one step away, I want you to consider this. Maybe you are not being held back. You are being held safe. Because when the time finally comes, the opportunities that once slipped through your hands will not slip away again. They will stick because now both you and they are ready. Remember this, the delay is not meant to discourage you. It is meant to develop you. And when the moment of revelation arrives, you will not just enter it. You will be able to remain in it. That is the difference between a breakthrough that fades and a breakthrough that transforms your life. There comes a moment, often when you least expect it, when the season of hiding ends. And what's remarkable is how suddenly things can shift. For months or even years, it may have felt like everything was moving in slow motion, like doors stayed shut no matter how faithfully you knocked. Then, almost overnight, the right connections emerge, the right opportunities align, and the very places that once ignored, you begin to call your name. This isn't coincidence. This is what happens when preparation meets divine timing. It's the moment when everything that was growing in the dark begins to break the surface. This sudden acceleration is not magic. It is the natural result of alignment. When the roots have gone deep enough, the tree no longer struggles to hold its fruit. It bears it naturally. In the same way, when your character, your perspective, and your spirit are in harmony with the assignment you were made for, doors don't just open, they stay open. Relationships don't just begin, they thrive. Opportunities don't just appear, they multiply. What once required striving now unfolds with surprising ease, not because the path got easier, but because you became stronger, clearer, and more prepared to walk it. Psychologically, this moment can feel almost surreal. The same person who once wrestled with doubt and delay now stands in a flow where things fall into place. But it's crucial to understand this is not about luck. It is the fruit of a hidden process. The waiting season stripped away distractions, refined your motives, strengthened your resilience, and taught you patience. Those silent years were not wasted time. They were building capacity. Without them, the sudden acceleration would have crushed you instead of carried you. Philosophically, this reflects a profound truth about life. Transformation is rarely linear. Growth is often invisible until it isn't. There's a tipping point in human development, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, where gradual investment suddenly produces exponential return. The seed doesn't break the ground gradually over weeks. It pierces the soil in a moment, but only because it has been pushing unseen for months. Likewise, when the season of hiding ends, the results may look sudden, but the roots tell a longer story. This is also the moment when many people struggle with humility. After waiting so long, it is tempting to attribute the acceleration to your own effort alone. Yes, your discipline mattered. Your decisions mattered. Your endurance mattered. But what truly made the difference was alignment. And alignment is something you cooperate with, not something you manufacture. It's the merging of preparation with purpose, timing with readiness, grace with growth. When you step into that moment, the question becomes, will you use this visibility to serve or to prove something? The hidden season was meant to heal you from the need to perform for approval. If you carry that healing with you, then acceleration will not distort your identity. It will amplify your impact. You will see the open doors not as a platform to flaunt, but as a responsibility to steward. And this is where the story becomes beautiful. What once felt like a setback becomes your testimony, your proof that nothing is wasted when it is surrendered to a larger purpose. So if you are still waiting, hold this as your hope. The season of acceleration is real, and it comes with a kind of ease that striving cannot produce. It does not mean there will be no work, but it does mean the work will finally bear fruit in proportion to what you've endured. And if you are stepping into that season now, walk with gratitude and clarity. Don't forget the lessons of the quiet years. They are the very reason you are now able to stand in this moment without fear of losing yourself.